This is the Making Noise podcast.
In music school, we're trained to always be striving to do these, like, work on these huge pieces that like you said earlier, like way earlier in the conversation, like the music of the masters, or like that the performers that we all idolize and stuff like that. And it's like, oh my God, they put that to perfection, But then having, like you said, like kind of taking a step back, I'm like, I'm just gonna play these things that I like to play, or at least just something that is just, I enjoy it. And at the same time, I'm going to be focusing on the upkeep of maintaining technique and intonation and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
you got to take a step back. Like, you can't. And that's something that I always have to remind myself, because I don't. Is like, you can't always redline. Can't always be on.
Yeah, like as a musician, it's real easy to. I mean, we're all yes people. We say yes to everything, and it's really hard to say no, because you feel like you're losing out on a potential connection. You're losing out on potential money. Just because I said no to this one person for this thing, even if I've already committed something, and you have to say no because you're committed to something else, like you feel like they're never going to ask you again because you said no in that instance.
Right.
Because it's you don't want to lose any connections, and you want to try to do everything you can, but you also don't want to burn out. I mean, burnout rate is real, and it's something we don't think about until we've beyond burnout. And then you don't enjoy what you're doing, and you don't have ambition to do it. Because if you burn out, like, you're frustrated picking up your instrument or grabbing that manuscript paper if you're a composer, and then what you're doing is not good because you're frustrated and you're doing it out of spite or out of necessity. So just trying to find that joy of doing this because you like to do it, but when it becomes a job, it's really hard to balance that. It's a job, but this is where my passion lies. So that you're not doing it for the sake of just having to do it. Yeah, and in addition to that, like school, you're just doing what you're told, and you're doing it because there is an objective at the end. But also, like, remembering why you're doing this in the first place. You're doing it because you like it, and especially like in undergrad, and I experienced it a lot in my graduate studies, is like literally getting the heart out of the case because I have to, and then like accomplishing nothing because I'm doing it because I have to, opposed to like doing it because I want to. If that makes sense, it's. And burnout's a scary thing because some people burn out and then will never come back.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, because it's so much easier to give into like negativity, like feeling those bitter and resentful emotions is easier than putting in the harder work of finding the silver lining in things. I mean, it's the same thing. And this isn't any disrespect or anything thrown at anyone, but like, it's a lot harder to work out and exercise. It takes more willpower than it does to just kind of sit down and eat food all day,
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, that's not an insult or anything. I mean, like, I love cake. Like, I love pizza. I eat this stuff like as often as I can, and I work out like very periodically. I'm not very regimented with it and stuff like that. But these sort of things, it's like, it's so much harder to I don't know what you say, like the whole positivity of it all, like to, I don't know, self-improvement, right? Like,
yeah, because like I know for a fact I have burned bridges unintentionally. Some of them recent, some of them in the past, and I dwell on that, and I feel bad because I've let the stress of what is going on in my life and in that current moment dictate how I approach things. And yeah, it sucks, and I don't mean to show disrespect to anybody, and I'm pretty sure I've apologized to anyone that I have in the past, because like, we're all human. We all let things get to us, and some people handle it better than others, and the best thing you can do is realize what has happened, and not dwell on it, but allow that to inform your future decisions.
Right.
In regards of like not being disrespectful, not leaving somebody out, not talking down about anybody or to anybody, even if you are like in an instructor student position, just because that student isn't carrying their weight, you still want to inspire them, and you don't want to talk down to them to allow them to achieve this frustration burnout point. If they come to that realization on their own, awesome, good for them, but it should never be coerced by an outside force, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, and that was incredibly clear. It's that I think is part of the trouble too. And you know, relating that all back to music school and stuff like that. It's like my personal experience in I went through 3 different colleges for music degrees and everything. I don't ever recall a professor saying that you have to do this, you have to do that in order to get to this step. I think a lot of that stuff, at least for me, was like self-imposed, you know, to think like I need to be doing this because that's what people want or whatever. But when you look at the careers of people who are quite successful and are thriving, they're all incredibly diverse in regards to what they're doing. You know, I mean, it's like the music and I'm a composer, like, you know, I know composers, I'm a composer. So like, I know more composers than I can name performers and stuff like that, right? But I mean, look at the music of like Sarah Kirkland Schneider, and then the music of, I don't know, Ashley Fury, or like, I don't know, another contemporary, Alex Minchek, right? Like all of them have vastly different careers, vastly different music, but all of them are thriving, you know? And I think part of that is because they didn't exactly decide, like fall within any specific like, you know, mold, whatever you want to say. And and like what you were saying before, where that like the whole burnout and stuff like that, like this is probably what they're doing is what they love. They enjoy doing the styles and the things that they experiment with, you know? And so I don't imagine that at any point for them it's been like, oh, I gotta go to work today and write a piece of music, you know? I mean, I'm sure there was some burnout along the way where it's like a lot to do and exhaustion setting in, but that's with anything.
Yeah, and I can only speak on music. So when I say what I'm about to say, I mean, I cannot relate it to any other profession because I've never experienced it. But the stress of like music is real. And because like even in regards of like the current situation we're in right now with COVID, is like every form of arts has just been shut down to absolutely nothing in a heartbeat. And the stress of that's weighing on a lot of people, because I think I saw like the Met Opera isn't going to return until fall of 2021. Like that's income. That's something that somebody spent their entire life doing. And I know there are many other jobs that have shut down. So I'm just relating just to music. So if anyone is like, oh my gosh, what is he saying? But like finding a way to turn that stress into motivation opposed to letting it shut you down. And like we were talking about with like Zoom and everything, how it's opened all these avenues of collaboration, like using that positive energy and motivation to create something new or to keep things going, opposed to just accepting defeat in a regard. It's a stressful thing because like there's never a point where you can become complacent because there's no aspect of music that is. And I'm not saying that there is with other jobs either, but like you're always trying to make a better student. You're always trying to play harder rep. You're always trying to make yourself better. And as a composer, I'm assuming you're always trying to make better music. You're always trying to make bigger music, bigger works, and trying to like push yourself. You have to beat your previous self in a sense. Yeah, it's that isn't what attributes to burnout. I think that's a part of it. It's hard.